If I observed correctly, Rodney's wearing the same outfit in all these clips and skating the same Jeremy Ray Plan B board, leading me to believe this sequence was shot in a single day. The Doors' 1967 banger People Are Strange accompanies Rodney in his exhibition of highly difficult flat ground skateboarding, while he also interacts with several NPCs. Hello, and thank you for joining another episode of Dumb Data. In this breakdown, we'll take a look at the first of what eventually became a trilogy of battle video parts between professional skateboarders Rodney Mullen and Daewon Song. Rewinding back to 1997, the then skateboarding company behemoth World Industries dropped a video titled Rodney Mullen vs. Daewon Song, which was further shortened in the actual footage to simply Mullen vs. Song. The video is a compilation of skating from many skaters associated with World Industries at the time. The focus is obviously on the two stars of the video, but who is the actual winner of round one? Let's dive into some data and find out. Opening the entire video with a timeless tray flip gap to the tune of Wyclef Jean's Street Jeopardy, Daewon Song nollie backside heel flips on flat, and we know we're in the late 90s when the switch Mongo pushing suddenly appears. Daewon follows up his two flip tricks with a fakie frontside 5-0, then a switch frontside Nosegrind shove for a 4-trick line for the first clip. Next up is a crazily filmed switch frontside Nosegrind shove. I should have taken Dramamine before watching this clip. I'm interested to know why pro street skaters back in the day couldn't be bothered to learn how to push switch, because switch Mongo looks terrible and I can't imagine it feeling good either. But Daewon knocks out another ledge trick line with a 1-2 punch in the form of a nollie frontside 180 switch crook and a fakie flip backside 5-0. Another pattern we'll see from this era is the tendency for skaters to hit benches head on instead of picking either backside or frontside, as evidenced by Daewon's switch head on blunt slide here. Having yet to do a single ledge trick in regular stance, Daewon's third line starts with a switch frontside shove Nosegrind and ends with a switch backside Nosegrind shove. This spot proved to be a haven for clip stacking, where Daewon piles it on with a switch head-on Nosegrind shove, fakie flip fakie Manny, switch heel flip switch Manny, and then the start of line 4 goes something like a half cab nose blunt, prior to one of the most perfect flat ground trays ever done, that leads into an incredibly difficult backside 180 before the switch backside Nosegrind on the bench. What might be one of the worst filmed clips of this part, Daewon does what I can only assume is a nollie backside heel flip, but might also be a nollie big heel before he sails over a fire hydrant with a backside flip. Daewon's fifth line is his longest, consisting of a frontside tail slide to fakie, switch backside Nosegrind to fakie, an awkwardly navigated tray flip, a backside flip off the curb, and then a rare switch frontside heel flip. The kicker-assisted frontside flip allows Daewon to clear the chain, and then he uses another kicker to boost himself into a frontside 180 switch crook, before we go back to the favorite bench spot with a kickflip head-on Nosegrind. Now it's time for Mannypad Mania, where Daewon's switch heel flip pats the pavement before the fakie Manny fakie flip, followed by a fakie tray fakie Manny, and then mashing the two tricks together with a switch heel fakie Manny fakie tray. Heading back to the school bench, Daewon achieves a backside flip fakie Manny before heading into line 6, which features a switch backside Nosegrind shove and a nollie backside heel flip on flat but over a bench. A highly technical fakie flip backside 5-0 shove precedes a big ol' fakie tray gap. And Daewon's board control is highlighted on this fakie flip backside 5-0 fakie flip, where the board bounces off the bench before he catches grip. Daewon applies another tech-savvy maneuver to the bench, a backside flip 5-0 to fakie. Two kicker tricks are up next, first a Rick flip, then a massive tray flip over the fire hydrant to body slam. The last 5 tricks of Daewon's part take place at the heavily utilized bench down the 3-stair, starting with a Strobeck style shot, although Bill Strobeck isn't credited amongst the video footage names, which makes me wonder who filmed this. Anyway, we start with a frontside 180 fakie Manny Rick flip. Next is the only other grind that Daewon flips out of besides the aforementioned fakie flip backside 5-0 fakie flip, which I'd argue is harder than this switch head-on Nosegrind fakie flip. The switch heel flip Nosegrind takes place before the frontside 180 switch crook shove, and the ender is a super uncommon, even today, switch heel flip blunt slide to regular. And those 44 tricks constitute Daewon's part. Daewon's ability to apply that much highly technical skating in just over 2.5 minutes back in 1997, and mostly all at the same spot, is a testament to his deep bag of tricks. So what's up with Rodney Mullen? Before we begin, I'm going to do my best to stay objective about the tricks, but keep in mind we're talking about the man who's responsible for creating the blueprint of flat ground skateboarding. Rodney's first trick is actually not flat ground at all, but still a formidable frontside crook on the famous LA high school rail. When this video came out, Rodney skated to the Beatles' Help, which is the title track of the band's 5th studio album of the same name. Picking a Beatles song to skate to would be impossible today with all the copyright regulations, and YouTube currently has 2 versions of this video, both on the Amazing Skate Archives channel. One is where Rodney skates to a different song entirely, Soul Dressing by Booker T and the MGs, and the other is where the music from Help is removed entirely and features only the beautiful sounds of skateboarding. Trick number 2 from Rodney is a frontside shove backside Nosegrind down another handrail, followed by a half cab crook down yet another handrail. Damn, Rodney's a rail chomper. The 4th trick reveals that Rodney and Daewon skated the same spots, with the bench down the 3-stair appearing yet again, where Rodney frontside shoved Nosegrinds before nollie flipping out. Next up, Rodney kickflips over the bench for the first trick of the part's first line, pushing twice before jumping into a crooked grind on the bench. Showing that he can do frontside shoves into more than Nosegrinds, Rodney lands a frontside shove crook on a ledge. A half-cab heel flip crook takes place before an increasingly difficult varial heel flip Nosegrind, which leads to a timeless kickflip crook, and yet another crooked grind takes place next in the form of Rodney doing a heel flip frontside crook to a brief nose slide. Rodney clears the gap with this kickflip where he nearly clicks his heels while also kind of throwing a little bit of shifty into the mix. The 13th trick in Rodney's part is where the real magic starts to happen, as we can see with this kickflip underflip off of the kicker. How awesome would it be if Rodney posted a clip today of something simple like this steezed out nollie backside kickflip? Rounding out this trio of kicker tricks is a switch tray flip, which leads into a 6-stair tray flip huck before Rodney busts out a crooked grind on the outledge. The 3rd line of Rodney's part starts with a fat nollie inward heel on flat over the bench before he spins around with a nollie frontside 180 5-0 fakie. Showing an affinity for symmetry, Rodney mirrors the previous clip with a nollie backside 180 5-0 to fakie, then goes fakie with it on a frontside half cab Nosegrind fakie, and then satisfies anyone with OCD like myself with a half cab Nosegrind fakie that gets a nice half cab heel over a bench to celebrate. But wait, there's more. How about a nollie backside 360? The next 6 tricks take place on a bench, starting with a half cab crook shove. Line number 5 kicks off with a half cab crook that leads to a dark slide to fakie. You thought we were only gonna get one dark slide from Rodney? Nah, we got a nollie frontside dark slide where Rodney uses his heel instead of his toes and pops over to fakie. Then there's also a half cab dark slide, and then Rodney keeps us enthralled with a Casper slide on the bench. Cooling down the temperature a bit, Rodney nollie flips out of this curvy nose manual, but then cranks the heat right back up in this kicker assisted, well, my take is that it's a pop shove it late varial double flip, but I'm guessing some of you will have a different take on what it is. A timeless street clip with traffic in the background is Rodney's kickflip nose manual nollie flip off the bench. And up next, it's another dark slide, but instead of going to fakie and doing it on a bench, Rodney Mullen pops it over to regular on a flat bar. Responding to Daewon's manual montage, Rodney shows off his own Manny skills with a switch hard flip fakie Manny, switch varial heel flip fakie Manny, and varial heel flip nose Manny nollie flip. Not sure why, but to start off a 6-clip sequence of bench tricks, we're getting another half cab crook, followed by another frontside crook, and then a half cab crook to fakie before we get a couple nose grinds, the first featuring a nollie flip out, and the second getting a frontside shove in. The last bench trick, and the last trick of Rodney's first part for that matter, like Daewon, takes place on the bench down the 3-stair, with a tray flip nose manual nollie flip. These 43 tricks are what I would consider Rodney's part to compete with Daewon, because the next montage, which we'll get to in a second, is clearly a different section with a different song. If we're comparing Daewon to Rodney purely in terms of trick volume, Daewon actually edges out Rodney by a single trick, 44 to 43. If we're comparing innovation, Rodney has to win this by a mile, with the underflips, dark slides, and Casper slides, whereas Daewon did a lot of tech tricks, but nothing that can outshine Rodney. If we're comparing style, I hate to say it, but Rodney's arms are stuck in the T-pose from his freestyle days, and his footing is sketchy in a few of the clips. However, the switch Mongo push from Daewon is an eyesore and doesn't help his cause when it comes to style. Although in 1997 switch Mongo might have been cool, I honestly don't know. Daewon probably gets the edge on style over Rodney, but style is one of the most subjective aspects of skating, so my opinion on this category doesn't carry much weight. As far as best fits, both Daewon and Rodney wore t-shirts and baggy jeans in every single clip, so it's a draw. This means Rodney wins on innovation, and Daewon wins on trick volume and style, with a draw on best fit. So that means Daewon wins round 1, right? Well, this is where Rodney's second montage needs to be considered. Opening up in what looks like Broadway in downtown LA, and hopping off a bus, Axl Rose... Oh, sorry, wrong universe.
You're not funny and nobody likes you.
Rodney Mullen is captured on film, taking in the sights and sounds of the city, with flat ground skating mixed in between. Rodney does a wide array of flat ground and freestyle in this scene, with the first trick being a pure straightforward switch heel flip. But then he's like, oh, y'all thought I was playing? And smacks us in the corneas with a half cab flip underflip immediately after. My best attempt at identifying this trick is a half cab pogo 360 back foot flip out. Next up is another pure rolling nollie frontside 360 kickflip. And then Rodney does a finger varial heel flip revert, and then the same line closes with a varial heel flip. Kind of mirroring the last finger flip thing, Rodney's next line starts with what I'm guessing is a finger tray flip backside revert, and then a relatively straightforward half cab kickflip. A trio of freestyle tricks follows, starting with a pogo flip primo stall to Casper stall combo, then a kickflip primo stall, front foot primo flip to a kickflip primo stall,
front foot primo flip to primo to Casper stall to primo varial triple flip body varial.
Since a board wasn't involved, it doesn't count towards his total, but Rodney flexed hard with a two-footed tuck-kneed backflip on flat in the streets next to a trash can with 2 Mickey D's cups. It's hard to tell exactly what is going on since part of the trick is off screen, but Rodney does some kind of Casper stall combo and impresses a fellow human, as is confirmed by the post-trick handshake. Okay, hold up. What was this, Rodney? Is this a back foot toe half flip to full underflip? Jesus Christ. And then I think it's an impossible that follows. One more line in this montage starts with a half cab pogo stall 720 before he does what I'm sure has a better name than what I came up with, but looks like a half cab under impossible. Holy sh**. Without warning, Rodney's spinning like a mother top. And what I counted on camera was 7 360 pivots to 10, maybe 11 one-wheel 360 pivots. And finally, with a wide shot that depicts the Pope of Broadway mural of Academy Award-winning actor Anthony Quinn as a backdrop, Rodney does a nollie backside 360 big spin. If we recalculate the trick totals and account for his downtown LA flat ground montage, Rodney's 17 additional tricks give him 60 overall, which is more than Daewon's 44, and shifting the tides in Rodney's favor to win outright on trick volume and innovation, leaving Daewon winning only on style. Y'all didn't think I'd forget about Daewon's second part in this video though, did you? Picking up where he left off, the World Industries section features more tricks from Daewon. Starting with a fakie tray fakie Manny down the bench at that spot, the switch head-on Nosegrind indicates this is a footy dump section, considering it was filmed at the exact same spot at the exact same angle, in the exact same outfit as the one in his first part where he shoves out. Another bench trick shows a high-speed nose blunt before we head over to some ledges for a line featuring a fakie crook followed by a frontside half-cab nose slide shove. This scary frontside half-cab nose slide is the last single shot before we wrap up Daewon's World Industries section part with a 3-trick line that starts with a head-on Nosegrind, a nice flat ground frontside shove, and a bit of an underwhelming switch backside Nosegrind. Daewon did 9 tricks in this mini part, increasing his total number of tricks from 44 to 53, which is still less than Rodney's 60. But what if we didn't count Rodney's flat ground montage? Daewon would have 53 tricks against Rodney's 43. Well, if we're playing by those rules, we need to consider Rodney's A-team section part. Like his opening clip from the first part, Rodney's first trick in the A-team section part is a frontside crook, but this time on a ledge instead of a handrail, and is backed up with a kickflip backside Nosegrind for a nice 2-trick line. Next is a manual featuring a well-done fakie heel flip fakie Manny fakie flip, followed by a fakie varial heel flip fakie Manny. Ending just as quickly as the part started, Rodney's last trick is a rare transition clip, where he Casper stalls to fakie on a hip. So Rodney's A-team section part features 5 tricks, bringing his total without the flat ground montage to only 48, 5 less than Daewon's 53. For simplicity, I'd argue to count any and all clips for both skaters, which in Rodney's case would include the flat ground montage, and make him the overall winner by contributing 65 tricks compared to Daewon's 53. Being the undisputed champion of innovation with the NBD flat ground and dark slides, giving him 2 category wins compared to Daewon's slight edge in style. To be honest, without even breaking down these tricks and counting totals, it's no contest that Rodney Mullen is the champ here. Rodney's contributions to skateboarding that have influenced virtually anyone who stood on a skateboard after him are too overwhelming for Daewon's song to have a chance at being considered the better skater in this battle. What do you all think? Is Rodney easily the champion? Is Daewon's combo of tech and steez more important than underflips and dark slides? If you had fun with this analysis of Rodney Mullen versus Daewon's song round 1, be sure to check out some of the other number crunching vids on the channel. Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, click the notification bell to stay on top of new episodes, and drop a like if you enjoyed this breakdown. See you on the next dumb episode.